Welcome back to my humble class. Now, today supposedly our last class for this semester. Okay, we have gone into the last topic of our syllabus. Okay, we have covered uh, numerous laws. Okay, numerous topic, and today is the final class. Okay, the finale. Okay, we're going to talk about intellectual property, but intellectual property, there's a lot of what they call branches, such as copyright, patent, industrial design, as a trade secret, and all those. Those are intellectual properties, but we're going just to cover what we call copyright. Okay, why? Because it is the easiest of all the other intellectual properties, and also the most common and most what do you call this widely used. Okay, and it may what do you call this, it may be relevant to you. Okay, it may be relevant to you. Now, before we go to the topic copyright, okay, I hope that you have looked into your VLE, your virtual learning environment. I already put the PowerPoint slide in the form of PDF in your VLE for copyright law in Malaysia. But before we talk about copyright, I want to talk about intellectual property as in general. Okay, intellectual property, as the name suggests, it talks about intellectual. Okay, so the word intellectual property. So the word intellectual here refers to the creativity, means whatever in your mind. Okay, whatever in your mind, and you translate that into something tangible, something which can be seen. Okay, something which can be whole, or something that can be heard of. Okay, and property. So property talks about is just like any other property, that your asset. Okay, property is an asset. Same thing as your house, your car, your money, your shares, you know that. Um, so intellectual property is the same. Okay, if you can buy and sell your house, it's the same as your intellectual property. If you can rent your house to another person, yes, you can do it with intellectual property as well. So supposedly, the nature of intellectual property and any other property, the nature is the same. However, it is quite uh, different. Okay, the different thing about intellectual property is not is not like any other traditional properties, like your house, your car, your cash, your shares, and all that, because it involves your intellectual. Okay, it's a result of your thinking. Okay, it's a result of your thinking. What you think, you have an idea, then you translate that into something, and then voila, that is your intellectual property. Such like, let's say you are a painter, for example. So you paint a beautiful picture, and that is your intellectual property. Hmm? If you are creative in writing, so you write a novel. Okay, like J.K. Rowling, for example, when she wrote Harry Potter, or J.R. Tolkien, when he wrote Lord of the Rings. So that novel, okay, that novel become his or her intellectual property. Or you are an artist. You write musics. You compose a song. So that song is your intellectual work. Okay, and become your property. When it is published, it become your property. Okay, for example, like let's say you write a song, for example, and your song become a hit. Okay, meaning you put it in the YouTube and everybody love to hear your song. Okay, you can so every time a radio wanted to play your song, they need to pay you royalty. It as if like you if for example, like say you rent your house, for example. Okay, the usage of your house. So here you let a third party to use your work, your intellectual property. So unlike the traditional asset or traditional property, your intellectual property will not be diminished. Means when people consume, okay, people consume that property will not be diminished. For example, like um, let's say you have a plot of land and then you rent it out to you lease it to someone. So when a third party, a company to build a house, so that land will be diminished. Means when it will be consumed and it will become less and less. Okay, but unlike a traditional asset or traditional properties, intellectual properties can be consumed without diminishing its numbers. Okay, so the concept of this intellectual property, the idea of having this or to recognize intellectual property is um, to reward, okay, to reward someone for their innovation. Okay, meaning let's say you're writing a song, you're writing a new song. So of course, okay, of course, um, you need to be rewarded. Okay, meaning if someone wanted to use your song in their work, or they wanted to play your song in somewhere. Okay, let's say in a radio, for example. So they need to reward you. Okay, why? Because the sweat of the brow means you need to reward someone for their effort. Okay, just like when you let's say you uh, let's say you do something. Let's say you do a work, for example. Okay, you do a work at the end of the day, or at the end of the week, or at the end of the month, you will be paid a salary. Okay, sweat of the brow. Okay, you work on something, so at the end of the month you will be rewarded in terms of salary. The same thing as intellectual property. When you need to come up with something new. Okay, when you wanted to come up with something new, you must be rewarded. Why? Because if you are not rewarded for coming up with something new, then nobody going to come up with new things. Means you're going to stifle innovativeness. Why? Because there's no incentive to come up with something new. Why? Because let's say you come up with something new and somebody can just steal your idea or steal your whatever you have created and use it. So then why should you come up with something new? So there's no incentive. So the idea is to get people to create something new, to enhance or to harness innovativeness. Okay, so that's the idea. Okay, that's the idea of intellectual property, to reward someone or person who come up with something new. Why? Because we wanted to harness innovators. Right, that's the idea. Okay, that's the idea. The idea is about innovation. The idea is about harnessing innovation. All right. So when you come up with something creative, you innovate something. So you need to be rewarded. Okay, you need to be rewarded. So how to reward you? By way of paying you a royalty and protecting your rights to that work. Hmm? Just I'll give you one analogy, for example. Let's say you write an assignment. Okay, you write an assignment, and then suddenly your friend copy, slavishly copy verbatim your work, your assignment, and both of you um, pass up, or both of you submit that assignment, and both of you getting the marks. So now the mark is the reward for your sweat, okay, meaning your effort, the reward for your effort. But then your friend, for example, who just slavishly copy your work verbatim, word by word, okay, there's not much effort in it. Okay, there's not much effort in it. You just copy. He or she just copy, and he got the marks. Okay, how do you feel? Do you feel like, hey, look, I'm the one who do all the works, but your friend get the marks without doing any work, just copy and get the marks? So it makes you feel uncomfortable. You feel injustice. Okay, it is not right. Correct. The same thing as intellectual property. When someone come up with something new, okay, they need to, there's a lot of thinking behind that newness. There's a lot of thinking behind that innovation. Maybe that person have thought about it for quite some time, did um, and tested the idea. Okay, do a lot of research. Okay, spend a lot of money in doing that research. Spend a lot of money in doing experiment to test that idea. Then let's say after a certain period, then he got the final product, something new. Okay, something new. So that effort, okay, either is financially, it can be physically, it can be financially, it can be intellectually, right? It need to be rewarded. Okay, why? Because if you do not have any incentive, if you're not going to be rewarded at the end of the day, then why should you put in a lot of effort to come up with something new? Correct? Might as well you just sit down and enjoy things as it is. Okay, you won't do anything, right? So the idea is to harness innovation. The idea is to harness creativity. But if you read the debacle, okay, the debates on intellectual property, there's always a discussion, there's always a debate, there's always a debacle on how to balance, okay, between rewarding innovation and overprotecting that protection. Why? Because if you overprotected, or if you overprotect the innovation, okay, and it may not be good for the society at large, and it even can stifle the innovation. Okay, why? Because why we have intellectual property law or intellectual property protection at the first place? Why? Because we wanted to harness innovation. But if we overprotected these rights, and it's going to lead us to stifling innovation. Okay, things which we do not want at the first place. Why? Because, for example, um, like COVID-19 vaccine, for example, and like medicine, okay, medicine, for example. Um, of course, when you come up with your own vaccine, or you come up with a medicine, you're going to protect it under the law of patent, okay, patent law, for example. But then if you have, like, say, 100 years, okay, your patent is for 100 years. So for 100 years, okay, for 100 years, you're going to give a monopoly. Okay, you're going to monopoly to this particular person or to the particular company for that patent for 100 years. So at the end of the day, you know what happened when you have monopoly. Okay, you're stifling innovation. Okay, why? Because when there's a monopoly, when there's no competition, there's no innovation. Guys, can you like right? If you wanted to say something, like you switch on your microphone.
Sajwa, please, can you stop your mic? Yes. Yes, doctor, you can carry now.
Right? Thank you, guys. I think sometimes we can we not realize. Okay, we don't. It happens to me as well. All right. Where am I just now? Oh, stifling innovation, right? So if we overprotected um, these intellectual property, then it's going to stifle innovation. Okay, meaning we back to square one. Um, most, especially medicine, right? Medicine, they have certain period of protection, which after the end of the period, then it's open to the competitors to reverse engineer. Means reverse engineering is rampant. Okay, rampant meaning you can buy a product, okay, of your competitors and you reverse engineer. You take out the parts and pieces of that product, and then you see how you can reverse engineer that product. Meaning based on the reverse engineering means you look at the product, you take apart everything, then you see all the parts, then you try to figure out how to come up with this product. Same thing as medicine, okay, like penicillin, like Panadol, you know that. Okay, their patent has lapsed, so their competitors can now sell a similar product. Okay, then why is that? Because you give a certain period, okay, of protection to the intellectual property owner, okay, to enjoy his fruits of labor, his meaning to get back what his cost and to make some profit. But at the end of the day, that after the end of that period, then your competitor can come up with similar product, okay, and why it is good for the society, because when you have competition, then the price will go down. Okay, that's normal. Okay, in any economics, okay, in any economic system, when you have a monopoly, there's a definitely there won't be any. It will create less innovation. Why? Because you are in a monopoly, so you do not have the incentive to create something new. Why should you? Okay, it's bad for the consumer. Why? Because as a monopoly, you can put up a very high price, okay, uh, and maximize your profit. But when there's a competition, okay, the price will go down. Your competitors need to come up with a better product at the lesser cost. That's normal. So it's good for the consumer. Meaning, the moment you have a competition, consumer will enjoy better product, better quality product at a lowest price. So this is the a normal debate, a normal issue in intellectual property. Okay, it can be copyright, it can be patent, it can be trade secret, it can be for anything else, right? Okay, now having talked about the introduction about the intellectual property, I want to talk about copyright law. Okay, copyright law in Malaysia. So for copyright law in Malaysia, we are governed by our own act, which is Malaysian Copyright Act 1987. Although it was enacted in 1987, but it had experienced a few amendments to the act. Okay, a few amendments. Now, if you look at the copyright law, okay, the basic concept, okay, basic concept of copyright law is to protect the work of the author. Okay, the work of the author. Okay, the word author here. Author here means the one who produced the work. Okay, the work, right? After this, we're going to talk about what are the meaning of work, right? So it's fruit of your labor. Okay, meaning copyright would like to give reward, would like to give the incentive your labor. Okay, the reward can be economical, it can be moral, it can be the other one. Okay, economical and moral, and fruit of your labor. Okay, it's just like when you work, for example. Okay, some of you are working. Okay, working in the office. So every day you need to go from your house to your office and back. That's part of the challenge. Then in the office you need to work. You need to put up with your bosses, that. Those are your labor. Okay, that's labor. Now we do not have a hard labor. Okay, we don't work we don't work at the mining, that we work in the office. Most of us are knowledge workers. So most of us are dealing with our knowledge, okay, with our mind, with our intellectual. Okay, so those are the thing that need to be rewarded. Same thing as copyright. Okay, as I just said just now, when you write a book, for example, okay, it may takes you like 1 year for you to write a whole novel. Okay, you spend time, you spend money. All right, so those are your labor. Those are your labor and need to be rewarded. Okay, it need to be protected. To increase innovation by protecting new work, protecting new work. All right. Now, the word new here. Okay, the word new here is also a contentious. So, what's the meaning of new? Okay, we're going to talk about that after this. But you have to balance not to cause overprotection that stifle innovation. And this is like I just said just now. Okay, this is a normal issue when we talk about intellectual property. Why? Because the main of having intellectual property is to harness innovation. But if you overprotect um, the innovation, then again you're going to stifle the innovation. So you must strike a balance. Then we're going to talk about how to strike the balance. Okay, we're going to talk about how to strike the balance. Section 7, works eligible for copyright. Okay, the word works here means literally literary works. Means when you write something. It can be a novel, can be an assignment, it can be your article when you write for academic journal. That is also literary works. Okay, if you write a poem, okay, this also a literary works. Musical works. Okay, musical works meaning if you write a song, that musical. You write a jingle for advertisement, that is musical work. Films, okay, films, drama is under the one category. Documentary is one category. You come up with a short film, for example, and that is your what is under one category of films, right? Sound recording. Okay, sound recording, just like for example, like you have a garage. Garage means if you have a MacBook Pro, there's one apps what we call Garage, whereby you can come up with your own music, right? That is then you broadcast your music in YouTube, for example. That's sound recording, yeah. Or you record the sounds of the bird. Okay, you record. Let's say you fascinated, like my cat, for example, fascinated with birds. Okay, every day my cat will look out the window and looking for birds chirping, that. So let's say you're fascinated with birds. So you go all over the world, okay, recording sounds of birds all over the world. All right, that recording is you have the copyright, you have the rights over that sound recording of birds. Not that broadcast. Broadcast is, for example, let's say you especially now is more relevant when you have what we call this podcast. Okay, let's say you come up with your own podcast show, for example. Then you broadcast your podcast to the public, and that podcast you have a copyright over that broadcast. Okay, so those are the things which are eligible for copyrights. Okay, then you might want to ask me, Sharin, is it the only thing that going to be eligible for copyright? Well, sometimes you have something new. Okay, you have something new, but it will fall under this category. For example, like let's say you have an iPad. You have an iPad and you write something. You scribble something on the iPad. Okay, so that can be literary works as well. Okay, that can be literary works. You draw something on iPad. Okay, and looks nice. That is literary works. How about design, for example? Some of you design, let's say, a house, or you design a dress, or you design whatever design that you want. Okay, let's say you are a designer, and that it falls under literary work as well. Okay. Then you might say, Sharin, what if I am a YouTuber? I record all my YouTube video every day. Does it fall under copyright or not? Yes, it is. Okay, it may falls under broadcast. It may falls under literary works. It can be falls under musical works. It can falls under films. Right. So, the new invention. Okay, the new invention can fall under these categories as well. All right. Any questions about the word works, the word copyright, and all that? The word literary, musical, films, and all that.
How about fashion trends, sir?
What trend?
Fashion.
Fashion. Yes, yes. Yeah. Meaning you design a fashion. You're a fashion designer. Is it?
Yep.
Okay. Fashion designer. Okay. Fashion can be it can fall under a few categories of intellectual property. One, it may fall under literary works. Okay, meaning because you design something. It also can fall under pattern. Okay, pattern means when you describe, okay, pattern is a little bit technical. Okay, but technical. Why? Because a pattern usually it talks about the mechanics of the product. Let's say for example, let's say I wanted to talk about this pen, for example. Okay, I want to talk about this pen. So, whatever I write about this pen, it falls under literary works. Okay, but for pattern, I need to talk about the mechanics of this pen, meaning the diameter, the color, okay, the functionality of this pen, and then it fall under pattern. So when we talk about fashion, okay, fashion design, for example, it can fall under literary works, okay, under copyright. It also can fall under pattern, okay, whereby you talks about the functionality of the dress, for example, the button, the colors, you know that. So so you can be protected on both. Okay, if you go to see a lawyer, you say that, okay, I wanted to protect my works under copyright as well as patent, for example. And also you want to talk about industrial design, for example. Okay, for example, like this pen, it can falls under uh, copyright. When I talk about this pen in writing, so it falls under literary work, so it's my copyright. It can also falls under patent, whereby I patented this pen with the Patent Design Office, and also can be protected under industrial design. Okay, so it can be your intellectual property or your ideas or your something new that you come up with can be protected in so many type of intellectual property. Okay, for example, like the recipe of Coca-Cola. Okay, the secret recipe of Coca-Cola. All right, so Coca-Cola, they have this secret recipe on their syrup. Okay, so that secret, okay, it can falls under trade secret, also intellectual property. Whatever, when I write the recipe on a piece of paper, that is also copyright. It's also copyright. So it can be protected both on trade secret and also copyright. Yeah. Okay. It reminds me that last month, one of my former students asked me, Sharin, I'm your former student. I'm now have my own restaurant. Okay, now I have my own restaurant. I hire a lot of people, especially chef or workers, to help me to cook in my restaurant. How do I make sure that this worker, okay, doesn't take my recipe and open their restaurant and copy her recipe and open their own restaurant? How do I protect my recipe or my secret from being copied by others, by my workers? Okay. Well, that's her problem. Okay, that's her problem. So she wanted some advice on that. So her problem, okay, is about how to negate, how to prevent her worker from copying her recipe. Okay, her recipe, and implement that recipe in that worker's own restaurant. Okay. Um, so my answer is, well, you can be protected in so many ways. It can be trade secret, it can be by copyright, but let's say that the worker doesn't look at your recipe. Okay, the worker is only looking at how you cook that dish. For example, let's say you wanted to cook a rendang, a chicken rendang, for example, or chicken curry, for example. So, perhaps you have a book writing a book which writes all the recipe and how to cook a chicken curry, for example. Let's assume that your worker, okay, doesn't look at that. Okay, doesn't look at that recipe, that written recipe, just by looking at how you cook that chicken curry. So you cannot say that he or she infringe your copyright. Okay. You can't say that they what do you call this take your trade secret. You cannot say that. Why? Because he's just observing how you cook your chicken curry. So it may not be, you may not be able to protect your so-called intellectual property in that sense. Okay, then I advise, okay, maybe you have a non-disclosure agreement. Okay, non-disclosure means you an agreement to say that the person cannot use your methods of cooking, for example, chicken curry. Um, that person cannot, again, that person cannot use your recipe anywhere, okay, for, let's say, for 1 year or 2 years, something like that. So non-disclosure agreement. So this is something, okay, this is a practical issue, okay, that you face every day. Okay, you have a company, you have doing your business, and you do not want people to use your method. You do not want people to copy your method. You not people to copy your recipe. And those are the real this issue. All right. So now, if you could look at the next slide, in section 7, it says that protection will be given despite the quality and the purpose for which they were created. For example, like, let's say I write a poem. Okay, I write a poem, and that poem is not that good. Okay, that poem is not that good. But although it's not good, it is of a low quality, but it is still protected. Why? Because Section 7 of the copyright law says that despite the quality, protection will be given to your work. Okay, so here it says that copyright law doesn't concern about the quality. Okay, copyright law just concern about your work. Is that a new work? Yes. So it's going to be protected. Is that a quality work? No. It's still going to be protected. It doesn't mean that we only protect high quality product, or we only protect high quality work. No. As long it is the work belongs to you, then it will be protected. All right. For example, like your assignment, for example. Your assignment may not be that good, but it is going to be protected under copyright law anyway. Okay, it doesn't concern about the quality. It only concern about whether you are the publisher, you are the author of the work. That is the copyright law concerned about that only. So if you go to court and say, oh, I copy that work. Why? Because it is of low quality. No. Okay, it doesn't goes that way. Okay, the protection will be given regardless of the quality. Right. Now, Section 7 also talk about protection shall not extend to idea, procedure, method of operation, or mathematical concept. So a mere idea is not something protected under the law. So take for example, in the case of Facebook. Okay, in the case of Facebook, there's an issue about whose idea, okay, is Facebook, meaning is Mark Zuckerberg is the one who come up with the idea about Facebook, or is the idea belongs to someone else? So copyright doesn't protect ideas. Okay, doesn't protect ideas. Why? Why do you think that copyright doesn't protect ideas? Procedures, method, or operations. Why? Why do you think that? Why?
There's no proof.
There's no proof. Yes, one. There's another one. There's a concerning about the objective of the objective of intellectual property. Why? What is the objective of intellectual property law? To harness what? To harness innovation, right? So if you protect or copyright protect ideas, Then what happened to innovation? I have an idea.
Doctor, if
I have an idea about flying cars, for example. So if the copyright gives protection, or intellectual property giving protection to ideas, so no one can come up with a flying cars.
but doctor, if my innovation and your innovation at the same time it's match, in that case what we do? I think the same concept.
Okay, you think the same and you do the same thing, the person doing the same thing,
But I
the
didn't know, he also didn't know about it. But it
uh,
anyhow it matches.
yes, it always amazed me. For example, like when okay, let's say for example, like you come up with your papers, for example, your publication, right? Let's say you wanted to publish something, an article, all right? I want to publish something. Okay, it happened to me last week. I wanted to publish something, okay, publish an article. I wrote the article, all right? And then of course I did some referencing and all that. Then when of course we need to submit for similarity index, go for turn it in, right? So when the result came out, I saw a few references. Okay, it's my article is similar to some other work, but when I look at the sources, I think that I never refer to that sources. I thought I came with the idea myself. Okay, the word is totally fine. Okay, I do not copy from anywhere, but somehow it's similar with other works. So the same thing when you your question, right? When you say that what you think and what you did the same or similar with someone else. Okay, so how do we prove copyright ownership in this case? So it looks at we're going to look at the date of publication. For example, like let's say I published today, my work published today, right? And then let's say 2 days later, okay, 2 days later, someone else got, let's say, an epiphany, got an awareness, some like a light from the under the bogaya tree, for example, got an epiphany, okay. So he wrote something, okay, and he tried to publish, and whatever he wrote is similar to mine, although he confessed that he never saw my article. He never read my article. The article, he came up with the article himself, right? And he swear that he never saw my article. But the article, both my article and his article is similar. Okay, so they're going to look at the date of publication. Who published first? Okay, who come up with the idea first? Who come up with the work first? Okay, let's say I published my work today, and that person published the work, let's say 2 days later. So I got the rights. I got the copyrights over my work. So I can say that he copied my work. Okay, so be that on the surface, that based on the what they call this when you go to court, that's how you argue. You look at the date of publication. Okay, publication. So of course you need to give evidence on maybe you have you, let's say you publish in the journal, then that good evidence, or perhaps that you may have let's say sent a draft, a manuscript to the editor, for example, through emails. Then you look at the timestamp. Okay, you can prove that you already working on this work, okay, for quite some time. How to evidence that? You look at the email, the timestamp of the emails. Okay, you send the manuscript to the editor on, let's say, on certain dates. Okay, so you can prove that on that date you already working on that work. All right, and it's going to be published later. So those are the things that you can prove. But it is impossible to have a 100% similar. Okay, meaning you have 100% similarity. Quite impossible unless unless you copy that work. For example, like Samsung and Samsung and iPhone, for example, they have these issues. Okay, Apple said that Samsung copied their work. Samsung said that Apple copied their work. So this is okay. This is what we call normal. Okay, why? Because sometimes it's strikingly similar. Okay, then how do you prove the similarity index, for example? So this is for the court to decide. Okay, whether it is strikingly similar, or is it going? Is it going to be 100% similar? Is it going to be 80% similar? Is it 70% similar? It depends on the court. Okay, but definitely you cannot have 100% similar. Okay, similar work, for example. This is something that you need to be aware of. But for section 7, okay, it talks about it doesn't it going to protect the work whether of the quality, okay, this part of the quality, but it doesn't protect ideas. Okay, why? Because if you protect the idea, then you're going to stifle innovation. If you protect procedures, you stifle innovation. For example, in my case just now, my former student asking about her recipe. Okay, let's say when she cook chicken curry, for example, okay, chicken curry. So there must be some procedure, right? You put the water, you put in the gravy, you put in the chicken, you put in potatoes. There's some procedures in that. So you can't protect procedures. Okay, you can protect or methods of operation. Also cannot be protected. Or mathematical concept, 1 + 1, you got 2. So you can't have a copyright over 1 + 1 same as 2. You got 2, so you can't. All right. For example, like you got E equal to MC square, for example. You can't protect that mathematical concept. Why? Because if you give the protection or copyright protection for E equal to MC square, then it stifles innovation. Why? Because E equal to MC square can be used to do a lot of things. All right, a lot of things. So if you give a copyright protection to E equal to MC square, then it's going to be what do you call this? It's going to be very problematic. Why? Because you're going to stifle innovation. Why? Because when people wanted to come up with a formula, okay, to produce something, produce a product, using that formula E equals to MC square, then if it is protected, then nobody can do a lot of things. Okay, so mathematical concept also cannot be protected under copyright. Now, section 8, okay, derivative works. Okay, now, when we talk about newness just now, okay, you can come up with something new, completely new things, okay, or it can be a derivative works, meaning derivative work means something which derive from something. Let's say, for example, like you have a phone, and then you come up with a smartphone. So smartphone is the derivative of the phone. Means the original work is phone. Then from phone you come up with a new product. So that new product is derived from the old product. So derivative works also protected under the protection of copyright law. What is the meaning of derivative works? It can be translations. It can be adaptation. For example, like Romeo and Juliet, for example. Okay, Romeo and Juliet. You Okay, Romeo and Juliet in its true form is written by William Shakespeare. All right. Say for example, like suddenly you wanted to you do an adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. So you see a lot of version, right? Romeo and Juliet in New York, for example. In modern day time, Romeo and Juliet. So although the idea of Romeo and Juliet in New York, for example, is derived from the original version of William Shakespeare Romeo and Juliet, but it is an adaptation work. So that adaptation work can be protected under copyright law as well. Okay, now you might say that, but Sharin, that's copying. That's copying. But it's copying the idea. It's copying the idea and come up with something new. Remember when we talk about intellectual property protection, it's about innovation. All right. So if you forbid, okay, if you say that you cannot protect adaptation, you cannot come up something new. You cannot derive something new from the old product, then you stifle innovation. So derivative works is also protected under the copyright law. When you translate something, let's say in Korean language, for example, and then you translate it into Malay. That is translation, adaptation, arrangement, and any other transformation of works. Collection of works eligible for copyright. Okay. For example, like let's say um, you are an art collector, or you're fascinated with arts. For example, you fascinated with paintings, for example. So you take photos of a lot of paintings, okay, around the world. Then you collect all those work, and then you put it in one book, in one manuscript, and that is what we call collection of works, and it's eligible for copyright. Or completion of mere data, meaning to say that there's a lot of data in this world eligible in public domain. All right. And then you collect all the data, you come up with a one book. Okay, for example, like Yellow Pages, for example. Yellow Pages is not that good. For example, like encyclopedia, for example. You collect all those information all over the world, then you put it in one book, in one manuscript. And that book or manuscript is eligible for copyright protection. Okay, for example, like you wanted to talk about birds, for example. There's so many species of birds in this world, and all the information about that birds or all those birds are accessible in public domain. But if you wanted to know about a crow, for example, hornbills, or eagles, those information about those birds are eligible in public domain. You can just search hornbill, then you get all the information about hornbills. You you go to the internet, you search about crow or eagles, you get a lot of information about crow and eagles in the internet. But when you compile all those information into one manuscript, all right, then that manuscript is eligible for copyrights. Okay, all right. Right, that's section 8. Any question for section 8? Question? No question. All right. Now section 9. Okay, section 9, copyright for published literary, artistic, or musical works. Okay, how do you get protection in Malaysia? First, it must be published in Malaysia. Okay, for you to enjoy protection under copyright in Malaysia, that work must be published in Malaysia. The first publication must take place in Malaysia. All right. Publisher of the edition was a qualified person at the date of the first publication. Okay, this word qualified person is the same as when we talk about contract, yeah? Means a qualified person under the contract, meaning he must not be a bankrupt, he must not he must be of sound mind, he must be of age of majority. So he must be a qualified person and publish that work in Malaysia. Right? So that work will be eligible for copyright protection. Right? It's quite what we call quite straightforward. Okay, section 9. Right. Section 10. Okay, section 10. Copyright for eligible for copyright, of which I think this is typo. Okay. Work which eligible for copyright. Okay, of which the author, or in the case of a work of joint authorship, any of the author is at the time when the work made a qualified person. Meaning sometimes, let's say you write an article. Okay, you have 3 authors writing that article. Then each author will be recognized as the copyright owner of the work. Let's say you compose a song. There are 3 person or 5 person compose the same song. Okay, work on that particular song. So all that 5 people, that 5 composers, are eligible for protection, and they will be what do you call it, recognized as author of that particular song. Okay, and then work eligible for the work is made in Malaysia again, right? Like section 9 just now. Okay, then copyright owners have legal, moral and economic rights. Okay, now why section 8 section 10 is very important? Because copyright owners have legal, moral and economic rights. Okay, the most important thing is about legal and economic rights. Why? Because you need to have a legal rights over the particular work, then only you have the economic rights. Okay, what are the economic rights? You can, like any other properties, right? You can sell it, you can rent it, you can lease it, um, you can get royalty from it. Okay, so all this right. So if let's say you have 5 authors, 5 people eligible or recognized as the author of that copyright, then all these people will be eligible for the economic rights. Okay, so that's why section 10 is quite very important. Okay, so to be eligible to enjoy the economic rights, to enjoy all these legal, moral, and economic rights, you must be recognized as the author. Okay, so if you have only one author, there's no problem. But if you're like 5 authors, then all that 5 authors can enjoy these economic rights. I have not mentioned about this. Okay, just like any other property, you can assign your rights. Just like any other property, you can also put it in your will. For example, you after the author died, he can give the rights to his to name someone to become to get the rights after his death or his or her death. Mean you can put that in the will. Okay, bequeath. Okay, meaning it can be transferred by the operation of the law. Okay, just like any other the properties. Okay, meaning your children can inherit your intellectual property rights. Okay, to a certain extent. We're going to talk about how long do you enjoy this copyright protection. So what is this moral rights? Okay, so moral rights allow you to claim the rights of originality of the creation. Means as the person who created that work, okay, you have the claim, okay, over the originality of the work of that creation. So you have the right to prevent any person from mutilating. Mutilating means For example, like say you pin, let's say you pin Mona Lisa, for example. Okay. So let's say you pin Mona Lisa, and then someone wanted to put a mustache on the face of that Mona Lisa. So as the someone who having a moral rights over that work, you can prevent someone from mutilating that painting by putting a mustache over that painting, or distorting or modifying the author's work in an unauthorized manner. Meaning, you have the right to prevent someone from tampering with your work. And this is based on Section 25. And then economic rights. Okay, economic rights means you are granted the power to receive the right of communication to the public, right of reproduction, right to perform, right to distribution, and right to commercial rental. This is everything here. Economic rights means you can tell anyone who wanted to use your work to pay you something. And this is the most important thing. Yeah, why? Because why do you come up with a property? Because you wanted to gain something. You wanted to have economic rights. For example, let's say you have a house. Why you buy properties? Because you wanted to gain something from the properties. You wanted to rent the house out to someone. When they pay rental, you got your remuneration, you got profit. Same thing as intellectual property. Why you come up with the intellectual property? Because you wanted to gain something out of that property. Okay, so this is the most important thing. You have the economic rights. It also allows you to receive financial benefit through the use of the works for commercial purposes. For example, like let's say you come up with a painting, for example. Okay, you come up with a painting, or you write something, or let's say you write a novel. Okay, you write a novel, and your novel has become what you call this a bestseller. Okay, bestseller. And someone wanted to adapt or to transform your book into a movie. Okay, they wanted to produce a film based on your book, or based on your novel. So this is one way of you commercializing your intellectual property. Okay, so the film producer need to pay you certain amount of money for the right to come up with a film based on your book. Okay, that's how you make money. That's how J.K. Rowling makes money. That's how Tolkien makes money. Okay, based on the book. Okay, based on the book. When people come up with a film based on the book, okay, then you got royalty. Okay, people pay you to use your book for their film. And now you have, for example, in Malaysia, for example, a lot of drama, okay, were based on novel. They were based on novel. So this how the writer makes money. Okay, one from the selling of the novel, secondly from the royalty from the film. All right, right. Now next slide, duration. Okay, duration. Now, just now when we talk about incentivize or giving reward to the author of the creation or the works. Why? Because we wanted to incentivize innovation. We wanted people to keep on innovating. So we need that work need to be protected. But at the same time, we need to balance. We do not want to stifle innovation. Why? Because we do not want to overprotect the work. Okay, so it's going to stifle innovation, it's going to stifle new things. So a balance need to be made. How to balance this? Okay, the balance can be made by via durations of copyright. Okay, the work will be protected, but it's not going to be forever. It's not going to be eternal. For example, like literary work, like literary or music or artistic work, your work, okay, will be protected for your life. Meaning, this person write a book, okay, at the age of 35, and he died in when he reached 50 years old. um, he died at 50 years old. Okay, 50 years. So from 35 to 50, the work will be protected, the life of the author, and the law will protect that work 50 years after the death of the author. Why? Because um, copyright. Okay, copyright. You can transfer the property to by way of law. Meaning, let's say this author, for example, he can put it in his will that, okay, after I die, I will give the copyright of my book, for example, to my children. Okay, he can put it in will. Why? Because just like any other property, it can be transferable by way of law. Okay, so um, the copyright for books, musical or artistic work will be protected for the whole life of the author and 50 years after the death of the author. And for published edition, okay, it's going to be protected for 50 years. That 50 years will be calculated 1 year after the publication. Now, what do you mean by published edition? Things like textbook, for example. Okay, textbook, encyclopedias, what do you call other things, like manuals. Okay, those are the published edition. So it's going to be protected for 50 years, and that 50 years will be calculated 1 year after the publication. Same thing as sound recording. Okay, broadcast, film, just like published edition. The duration of copyright the same as published edition. What do you think? Is 50 years is too long, or it should be shorter? What do you think? That 50 years is like half a century, is it?
Yes.
Is it? Now, when we talk about overprotecting this work, do you think that 50 years is too much, or is it should be shorter? I'm not sure why they come up with the 50 years.
Is there a reason for it to be shorter?
Well, I do not know. And the question is, why 50 years? Why not 60 years? Why not 20 years? Why not 30 years? It's just it seems like the duration is like like it covers for one generation, I think.
Maybe for it to be considered fair.
Fair to the author.
Yeah, fair to the author. Maybe.
Maybe perhaps, but until now I do not see any problem with this. Okay, because we still have a lot of musics, we still have a lot of books, we still have a lot of movies. We still have a lot of things which is new. All right, so this is nothing much.
I guess music itself is not limited. Like you said previously, if, for example, we put a copyright on an idea, then people cannot develop that idea anymore. So music itself is a big subject, it's diverse. So there's no point, okay, saying, okay, you have to shorten that to 20 years. But still, like you said, we still have music.
Yep, correct. Like for example, like you talk about music, it reminds me about Frank Sinatra, right? Frank Sinatra like in the 1950s, right? Then sometime this year, okay, sometime earlier this year, I hear an adaptation, okay, a derivative work, Frank Sinatra, like "Fly Me to the Moon," right? Someone else singing that song with her own rendition. Then when you talk about music as well, you go to YouTube, you can see a lot of cover. I mean, you have a new song, but someone singing a uh, cover version of that song. Okay, his or her own rendition, his or her own version of the song. So that cover singing a cover version of a song is what we call derivative work. Still covered under copyright law as well. It just remind me when you talk about music just now. All right, that's on derision and section 26B. Now we talk about the protection. Okay, protection 26B. Controller keep and maintain a register of all. Let's say you do not. Let's say you wanted to register your copyright work with the controller. Yes, you can. Okay, you can choose not to register. You also can choose to register. But if you wanted to what they call this, protect your economic rights. For example, you wanted to commercialize your new work, it's better for you to register with the controller. Okay, and then the controller will keep and maintain the register all the copyright works. It's better. Okay, why? Because it's good for evidence, especially if it goes to court. For example, let's say you publish a work. Okay, let's say you write a song. You publish it. Okay, but you never register, for example. Then if someone say that you copy his or her work, then you look at the register, see who register first the work. If you register, that person cannot prove that he registered, and he cannot prove that he had published the work. Then your claim in court is better. So it's good for evidencing. Okay, good for evidencing. Section 26B. Section 27. Okay, can be transferable by assignment, testamentary disposition, or by operation of law as movable property. Okay, so just like I said just now, intellectual property is just like any other traditional property. It can be transferable by assignment, by testamentary disposition, or by operation of law. Operation of law is when you put that property in your will. Okay, it can be transferred to someone else, or you sell your right to someone else. That also transferable by operation of law. Okay? As movable property. Right? So it's movable property. Section 27. Infringement. Okay, section 36. When we say that you are infringe copyright law? If you sell or let for hire by way of trade, offering or exposing for sale or hire the article. Okay, meaning let's say someone write a song, you see that you hear that the song is very good, then you copy that song. You copy that song and you sell to someone else. For example, like last time. Okay, last time it's very rampant. Okay, last time you do not have what they call this. You do not have iTunes. You do not have Spotify. Okay, so what song you will hear in radios? Okay, last time radios. So there's a lot of people who goes to the black market. They go to this especially in shops which sells albums, for example. These people, um, these people are the culprits. They recorded the song and put it in one cassette, and they sell it in black market. I'm one of those people, okay, who are involved in that industry. Well, it happened long time ago, okay, when I was a student. I was in the university studying law. I need to pay. I need to have extra money. Okay, I got a loan from the JPA, the public service, but it only covers my tuition fees, right? But it doesn't covers well, in study you need to spend a lot of money, right? You need to photo state, you need to buy books, you need to go out with your friends, you know that. So I work. Okay, after lecture tutorials, I go work in this one shop selling pirated CDs. All right. It's quite an irony. Why? Because I am a law student. I learn about copyright, but I work in a shop which sells pirated CDs of movies. Right. So every week I see all this one tauke come with a CDs, new for new movies. Right? So this is what we call selling letting for hire by way of trade, meaning you copy other people's work and then you sell. When you sell, it's by way of trade. Sometimes you don't sell, but you rent it. Where I worked before. We do not sell the CD, but we rent it out to our customers. That is what we call by exposing for hire. Okay, we don't sell, but we hire, we rent it out. Or distributing the article for the purpose of trade. Again, it's the same as one. Distributing for any other purpose to an extent that it will affect prejudicially to the owner of the copyright. For example, like torrent. Okay, torrent last time, they do not sell the song, meaning torrent is a peer-to-peer sharing. Okay, meaning I got a song in my, let's say, in my system, in my computer, and I share with another person. I share with my friend. So I'm not selling. I'm not letting it for hire. So there's no trade. There's no exchange of money. All right. I'm not selling to my friend. I just share the song with my friend through torrent system. So that is falls under 3, meaning distributing the work. Although it's not for selling, it's not for trade, but it will be prejudice to the owner of the copyright. Why it is prejudice to the owner of the copyright? Because when I share the song with my friend, so my friend do not have to buy the album or to buy the song, okay, from the copyright owner, from the recording companies. So they will be prejudiced. Why? Because they now people will not buy the song from them. Why? Because they already share the song with their friends. Okay, so that is prejudice. This is where if you read about how Steve Jobs come up with the idea of iTunes, for example, it stemmed from the torrent case, whereby peer-to-peer song sharing. Okay, so the recording companies, they sued torrent, okay, for copyright infringement, and it gave the idea to Steve Jobs, and by he thinks that if people will buy songs at the right price, okay, and people do not want to buy the whole album. Sometimes in one album you just wanted to hear 1 or 2 songs, then the rest is you do not want to hear. So at the right price, okay, people are willing to buy the song at the right price. Okay, so Apple sell it at 99 cents, which is, for me, is quite reasonable. So you can enjoy the song at 99 cents, and you don't have to worry about infringing the copyright law. You don't have to worry about importing virus into your laptop or to your device. Okay, and then you can enjoy your songs without any guilt conscience, right? Your conscience is clear. So this is number 3. And exhibiting the article in public for trade. For example, to the mall, for example, you go to the mall and you hear, of course, there's a background music. Okay, the mall will play musics. Okay, the mall will play music at the malls. So this is what we call exhibiting the article in public for trade. Why? Because when you play the songs in your mall, it to attract people to come to your mall. You try to make your mall exciting. You try to make your mall happening. So you play this music in public. So you need to pay royalty to the music owner. If you don't, then you are infringing Section 36. This is something that you need to be aware of. All right. The word trade here. Okay. Sometimes you play song during your wedding, for example. Is that falls under trade? But then if you are using the song in your shop, okay, you wanted to attract customers to come to your shop, you play the songs in public. So is that for trade? So the word trade is quite important. So let's say you wanted to use the song, then you make sure that it is not for trade. You're not gaining anything financially from using that copyrighted works. Okay, you need to be very careful on that. Do you need me to do you understand this, or you need me to explain further?
So is it expensive? I mean,
Pardon me?
is it costing a lot if you want to do a copyright or patent or? Does it cost a lot of money?
Meaning if you wanted to
Patent our
yes, it's going to cost you it costs you a lot of money. Yes. I'm not sure about the rates, right? I know, but copyright lawyers quite they're doing quite well, right? They're doing quite well for copyrighted lawyers, copyright lawyer or intellectual property lawyers. But then the cost is you need to pay the cost of the professional fees and also the expenses. Okay, the expenses can be on searches. I mean, before they can register your work, okay, for patent, for any intellectual property, they need to do searches, meaning they need to see whether there are any other work which is similar to you. So that those searches are very expensive. And then to draft the application, especially for industrial design and patent, you need to be very meticulous in your description of your work. All right, for example, like this pen, the way you describe this pen for patent is quite very technical. You need to be very specialized, and it takes a lot of what you call expertise to describe this pen for patent. Okay, for this simple pen, to describe it in for patent is very technical. Okay, it takes an expert to do this. You ask me to do that, I do not know. Okay, I do not know how to describe this pen for patent. For patent purposes, you need to go for very specialized people like patent lawyers and all that. And it costs you a bomb. And there's one thing about intellectual property protection is if your work is protected in Malaysia, it doesn't mean that your work will be protected in Indonesia. So you need to register your work in every country to enjoy protection in every country. For example, let's say you have registered in Malaysia, you have registered in Indonesia, you have registered in Brunei, but you have not registered in China. So your intellectual property is not protected in China. So you need to register in China as well. So intellectual property protection is geographical based. Okay, meaning you need to register in every jurisdiction to enjoy the protection. So for example, if the cost to protect your rights in Malaysia, let's say it costs 5,000 ringgit in Malaysia. So you need let's say you wanted to be protected in 10 countries, for example. So let's assume that all that 10 countries have the same cost. So 5,000 times 10.
Oh, it doesn't apply only just for general. So it is specifically based on countries.
Yes.
Oh, okay.
Be protected in every countries. And that's one weaknesses about intellectual protection. It is geographical based. It's country based. All right. So you need to, but then you do not need to be registered in the whole country in this world. For example, let's say your interest, you look at let's say you are multinational companies and you have operations, let's say in Malaysia, Indonesia, Brunei, Thailand, or Southeast Asia, for example. Let's say you're selling, let's say a dress. Okay, you're selling a dress. So your operation, you have operations in Malaysia and the rest of the Southeast Asia. So you just wanted to be protected in your operation. I mean, you may wanted to register your rights, your intellectual property rights, or the design of your dress in Southeast Asia countries only. Why should you be protected in America? Because you don't have any interest in America or in the US, for example. So you need to be selective. You need to be smart. Okay, you don't have to be protected in all over the world, but you need to be protected in countries which you have interest in. Where your company have operations. Okay, let's say your target market is in Southeast Asia, then you make sure that you are protected in all these countries in Southeast Asia. Okay, so you need to be selective. All right, but meaning to say that a person in, let's say you are protected in Southeast Asia, but then people in the US can copy your design, okay, in the US. That's the downside of that statement. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's go to the next slide. Section 58, power to arrest without warrant. Okay, this is power given to the authority. All right. You may heard this. Okay, you may heard this. Nolofa, for example. Okay, Nolofa, you see that you heard about Nolofa hijab, okay, being produced in Vietnam, for example. Okay, why? Because that hijab, Nolofa hijab, is very popular, and then someone in Vietnam copy the design in Vietnam and try to sell back in Malaysia. So if Nolofa, for example, had registered her rights in Vietnam, then he can or she can enforce her right in Vietnam as well. But in Malaysia, for example, in Malaysia, if you see that other people infringe your copyright in Malaysia, okay, so you can report this to the controller. You can report this to the authority. Then authority can, by way of the Section 50A, can have the power to arrest, to confiscate all those copied product, okay, without warrant. Okay, they can just go and raid that premise, arrest those people, and confiscated all the copied goods, okay, without warrants. All right, that's the end of the slide. Any question? You have any question on copyright law? No question. All right. Okay. Before I forgot.